Hello, and welcome back to The Courage to Become, the podcast where we leave the shit show of perfection behind and step fully into who we were meant to be. I'm Joe, your host, and I'm glad to have you here with me today. In this episode, we're going to dive into something that's been a real game changer for me and for many of my clients, and this is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries in a way that feels empowering and, most importantly, honoring our own unique energy without that feeling of guilt. That is like the worst feeling, is that dread and that guilt. And I was never ever good at setting boundaries because I was always a people pleaser. I wanted to make sure everyone else was happy. And the way to do that for me in my mind was just do everything for everyone. And it wasn't until it was put another way to me that I started to realize that I was giving my power away by not setting internal boundaries for myself. So, the perspective I want you to look at this from is you are not a limitless resource. Your time and your energy and your focus, they're precious. But for so many of us, saying no feels like we're disappointing someone or falling short of some invisible standard. But let me tell you, boundaries are not walls. They're bridges to a healthier relationship with yourself and with others. When you set a boundary, you're not being selfish. You're creating the conditions for you to thrive. Think about it this way. If you don't honor your energy, how can you show up fully for the people and the things that matter to you? This is another thing that I love about human design. Human design teaches us that our energy is unique. How it flows, what it needs, and how it interacts with the world around us is unique to us. And when you ignore those needs that you have, your own inner needs, or you overextend yourself, you deplete the very essence of who you are. So I want you to ask yourself this: what does your energy need right now? Are you saying yes because you want to, or because you feel obligated, or because you don't want to feel guilty about it? And then how do you feel after you interact with certain people or situations? If it doesn't feel good to interact with those people or to do those things, it's trying to tell you something. And when it does feel good, it's trying to tell you something. We have to listen to our energy in the way that it talks to us. And these questions are simple, but they're powerful tools to start at least identifying where your boundaries need to be. So let's talk about how to set boundaries in a way that feels empowering and not confrontational. Because the way that a boundary is received can cause us to feel that guilt and feel bad about not taking everything on and doing everything for everyone else. So we need to find a way that's going to help us to set those boundaries where we feel empowered and we don't feel like we're confronting them, so that they don't feel like they need to be confrontational with us. Step number one is you need to get clear on your needs. Before you can communicate a boundary, you really need to understand that boundary yourself. Reflect on what feels draining and what feels energizing. Remember, you want to do those things that energize you, and those things that are draining you, there's something else that you need to learn from that. Step number two is to communicate with compassion. When you set a boundary, approach it with honesty and kindness. Just talk facts. I would really love to do that for you right now, but I can't do it right now. I need a little bit more time to recharge so that I can give this the attention that it needs. Could I maybe do it next week? Or if it's something you don't want to do at all, don't be afraid to say no. If it's something that's draining for you, I'm sorry, I just don't have the capacity to do it right now. Step number three is to release the guilt. And this is though it sound even though it sounds easy, it's not easy to let go of that guilt. This is a really big one. Remind yourself that setting boundaries isn't about being mean or being selfish. It's about protecting your own energy so that you can live in alignment with your authentic self. Remember that guilt is on the lower end of the vibrational scale of consciousness. And so that's the frequency we don't want to go backwards to. We're trying to raise our frequency. So this is definitely one that we need to let go of, the guilt. And then step number 4 is follow through consistently. Once you set that boundary, hold on to it. Don't give in for anything. If you keep making exceptions, you send mixed messages to yourself and to others. Think about when you were raising kids, or if you are raising kids, when you talk to the kids and you punish them, we're not going to the movies today because you didn't clean your room and you had 3 chores to do and 2 out of the 3 didn't get done, so we're not going to the movies. If you take them to the movies anyway, what do you think's going to happen the next time you ask them to do said chores? They know they can get away with it. So make sure you're always following through consistently. You also want to make sure that you're honoring your energy. Honoring your energy goes hand in hand with boundary setting. And sometimes this means saying no to an invitation when you'd rather stay home and rest. Sometimes it means taking breaks during the day so that you can stop and ground yourself. And sometimes it means prioritizing activities that light you up and feel aligned with your purpose. One practice that I like to do with visualizing my energy and keeping that protection around it is I love to visualize my energy as a garden. Now, I wouldn't let just anyone trample through my garden. The same goes for my energy. Our energy is sacred, and the seeds that we plant can very easily get trampled on by others when we let them into our garden. Think about how many times in your life maybe you had a vision or a dream that you wanted to bring to fruition, and then someone else, whether that be your mom, your dad, a teacher, a boss, they came and they trampled all over your idea and your dream never came to fruition. This happens on a subconscious level every single day when we don't maintain our energetic boundaries. It's easy for people to come in and trample all over our seeds if we're allowing them to do that. And the boundaries that we set are going to keep them from preventing our seeds from growing. Boundaries are acts of self-love, and honoring our energy is an act of empowerment. When you start living this way, you're going to notice something truly amazing. The people and the opportunities that are truly meant for you will respect those boundaries and match your energy. So I want to be clear on this. This is not the same thing as an energetic wall. Earlier, I talked about how this is not an energetic wall. When we put up an energetic wall, that's not a boundary, that's a barrier. And there's a really big difference. If you're not sure what the difference is, go on over to my Facebook group, Finding Your True Self, and grab the free replay of the workshop, Uncovering Your Purpose, A Journey Back to You. And in that workshop, I talk about energetic barriers, where they come from, and how they hold us back, and how to let them go. So if you're not sure of the difference, that's a good resource for you. So if any of this has resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love for you to share your experiences. And even maybe if you have any challenges that you're facing about boundaries, post the questions. Let's talk about it. Let's bring it up and see what other people think. Let's keep this conversation going, because the more we honor our energy, the more we step into our authentic selves. And while I know boundaries aren't hard to keep, when you have a community of support that's there to support you, together we can help you to keep your boundaries in place. So thank you for tuning into today's episode of Courage to Become. If you found value in this, please subscribe, sprinkle some love on the like button, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear this message. I'm sending you lots of love and energy so that you can begin setting healthy boundaries in your life. So until next time, remember, you are worthy of honoring your energy and creating the life you deserve. See you later.